The signal. The Deep Space Monitoring Station hummed with its usual quiet efficiency, suspended in Earth's orbit like a metallic flower blooming against the starfield. Dr. Chen wiped the exhaustion from her eyes as she reviewed the day's data streams from across the galaxy. The soft blue glow of her workstation cast shadows across her weathered face. 20 years of listening to the cosmos having left their mark. Another quiet night in paradise, she muttered, adjusting her headset as dozens of screens flickered with astronomical readings. The coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she barely noticed. Sleep was a luxury when you were humanity's primary ear to the universe. Radio waves from distant pulsars, gamma-ray bursts from dying stars. The usual symphony of cosmic noise filled her instruments. Then it happened, a signal. Unlike anything in the databases, cut through the cosmic background radiation with crystalline clarity. Dr. Chen's heart raced as she isolated the frequency, her trained fingers flying across the control panel with practiced precision. The pattern was too complex for natural phenomena, too organized for random noise, too deliberate to be anything but intelligent communication. "This is impossible," she whispered, her voice trembling with the magnitude of what she was seeing. The signal originated from Proxima Centauri, but the mathematical precision suggested intelligence, advanced intelligence that surpassed human understanding by orders of magnitude. Alex Cooper burst through the communication bay doors, his sandy hair disheveled from running through the station's corridors. "Dr. Chen, the entire network is lighting up. Every sensor from here to Jupiter is detecting the same signal. What kind of transmission are we dealing with?" "Something that shouldn't exist," she replied, pulling up the waveform analysis on the main display. The patterns danced across the screen in hypnotic waves of data. "Look at these structures, Alex. They're not just random transmissions. They're linguistic frameworks. Complex grammatical patterns that suggest a civilization far more advanced than anything we've theorized." Alex studied the scrolling data, his background in xenolinguistics making him one of the few people on the station qualified to interpret such unprecedented findings. The mathematical beauty of the alien syntax was undeniable. The structural complexity is beyond anything in our theoretical models, but there's definitely intentional communication embedded in these patterns. Someone, or something, is actively trying to establish contact with us for 3 sleepless days. They worked in shifts to decode the transmissions. Dr. Chen handled the technical analysis while Alex focused on the linguistic patterns. Coffee cups accumulated on their desks, meals were forgotten, and sleep became a distant memory as they slowly unraveled the secrets of the alien language. "I think I've breakthrough," Alex announced on the 3rd evening, his voice hoarse from exhaustion but bright with excitement. The basic greeting structure appears to be a harmonic sequence combined with mathematical proofs. It's like they're saying hello while simultaneously demonstrating their technological superiority. Dr. Chen leaned over his shoulder, studying the translation matrix he'd painstakingly constructed. The alien logic was beautiful in its complexity. "Can you formulate a response?" "I believe so, but we need to proceed with extreme caution. First contact protocols exist for good reason. We could be dealing with a species that interprets communication as territorial aggression or worse." After emergency consultations with Earth Command that lasted 6 hours, they finally received authorization to attempt contact. Alex crafted a carefully neutral response, basic mathematical sequences, combined with harmonic patterns that mirrored the alien. Structure without claiming technological equality. The reply arrived within hours. This transmission was fundamentally different from the first, more personal somehow. The cold mathematical precision was replaced by something that could only be described as warmth, curiosity, genuine excitement about this new form of contact. "They're asking about us," Alex translated, wonder and disbelief coloring his voice. "Not our military capabilities or territorial boundaries. They want to know about our culture, our artistic expressions, our dreams and aspirations." Over the following weeks, the exchanges became increasingly sophisticated. The aliens, who identified themselves as Zarathians, shared carefully chosen glimpses of their civilization. They described vast crystal cities that grew from living stone, art forms that existed in dimensions humans couldn't perceive, A society built on perfect harmony between advanced technology and natural evolution. And then came the message that would change everything. "They want physical contact," Alex announced, his face pale with the historic implications. "A diplomatic vessel is requesting formal permission to approach Earth's orbital space. They're sending their most gifted representative, someone identified as Princess Aya of the Fifth House." Dr. Chen's hands trembled as she initiated emergency protocols that hadn't been used since the station's construction. "This is it, Alex. First contact, real, physical, undeniable first contact with an alien civilization. Nothing in human history will ever be the same after today." As alerts echoed through every corridor of the station, Alex found himself staring out through the reinforced viewport at the star field beyond, wondering what this Princess Aya would be like. Throughout all their communications, there had been something almost musical about her specific transmissions, a quality that suggested not just intelligence but something deeper. Compassion, perhaps, or genuine curiosity about the strange bipedal species that had finally learned to listen to the cosmos. The universe had just revealed itself to be far larger, far more wondrous, and far less lonely than humanity had ever dared imagine. First light. 3 days later, Alex pressed his face against the observation deck's reinforced glass, watching a shape materialize from the darkness of space. The Zarathian vessel defied every principle of human engineering. It flowed rather than flew, its surface rippling like liquid mercury while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Beautiful, isn't it? Sarah Martinez joined him at the window, her diplomatic credentials having earned her a place on the first contact team. "Intelligence suggests their ships are grown rather than built. Some kind of biomechanical hybrid technology we can't even begin to understand," Kai Thompson, the station's head of security, approached with obvious tension in his shoulders. "Beautiful or not, we need to maintain protocols. We have no idea what we're dealing with here." The alien ship docked with surprising gentleness, extending what could only be described as tendrils that interfaced seamlessly with the station's ports. No mechanical clanking or grinding, just a soft whisper of connection. Alex's heart hammered as he made his way to the docking bay. His role as primary translator made him essential to this historic moment. But the weight of responsibility felt crushing. One misunderstood word could trigger an interstellar incident. The airlock cycled through its sequence with agonizing slowness. Finally, the inner door opened, revealing a sight that would be burned into Alex's memory forever. She was unmistakably humanoid, but transcendently alien. Her skin held a deep purple hue that seemed to shift and shimmer in the artificial light, revealing undertones of violet and lavender that danced across her features. She stood with grace that suggested a different gravitational environment. Her movements fluid and deliberate, but it was her eyes that captured Alex completely. Large, expressive, and colored like amethyst crystal, holding intelligence and something that looked remarkably like nervous anticipation. "I am Aya of the Zarathian Empire," she spoke, her voice carrying harmonics that made the words ring like music. The translation device at her throat glowed softly as it converted her thoughts into human language. "I bring greetings from my people to yours. Welcome to Sol Station," Alex managed, fighting to keep his voice steady. "I'm Alex Cooper. I've been handling our communications." Her expression brightened noticeably. "Alex Cooper, yes. I know your linguistic patterns. You have a beautiful mind, very creative in your translations." Heat rose in Alex's cheeks at the unexpected compliment. Sarah stepped forward smoothly. "Princess Aya, I'm Sarah Martinez, Earth's diplomatic liaison. We're honored by your visit." "The honor is mutual," Aya replied, but her gaze kept drifting back to Alex. "Your species shows remarkable adaptability in communication. Most civilizations take decades to achieve basic understanding with us. You managed it in weeks," the formal tour of the station began. But Alex found himself walking beside Aya. Drawn by her obvious curiosity about everything she encountered, she asked thoughtful questions about human technology, culture, and psychology, her genuine interest making the conversation feel natural despite its historic significance. "Your art is fascinating," she observed, studying a holographic display of Earth's masterpieces. You create beauty from chaos. Emotion from form. On Zarathos, our art grows from harmony. But yours fights against the universe and wins. I'd love to see Zarathian art someday, Alex said without thinking. Then immediately worried he'd overstepped diplomatic boundaries, Aya's purple skin deepened to a rich violet. What Alex would later learn was the Zarathian equivalent of a blush. Perhaps that could be arranged, she said softly, during the meal that followed. Prepared carefully to accommodate Zarathian dietary needs, Alex found himself seated across from Aya. Their conversation flowed from professional topics to personal ones. She spoke of her homeworld's crystal forests, while he described Earth's oceans and mountains. Your planet sounds harsh but alive, she mused. Zarathos is peaceful, ordered, but sometimes I wonder if we've lost something important in all that perfection. What do you mean? Alex asked, leaning forward with genuine interest. Unpredictability, she replied, meeting his gaze. The unexpected moments that make life worth experiencing. Tonight has given me more of those moments than I've had in years. Their hands had somehow found their way to the center of the table. Not quite touching, but close enough to feel the warmth between them. The moment stretched, filled with possibility and the growing awareness that this encounter was becoming something far more personal than either had anticipated. Commander Rena's arrival broke the spell. Princess Aya, we need to discuss the formal diplomatic agenda, she announced, her tone making it clear this wasn't a request, as Aya was led away for official meetings. She glanced back at Alex with an expression that promised their conversation wasn't over. Left alone, Alex stared at his hand where her warmth had almost touched him, knowing that everything had just changed in ways the diplomats could never understand. Forbidden Hearts. 2 weeks into the complex diplomatic negotiations, Alex found himself stealing increasingly frequent glances at Princess Aya during every formal meeting and cultural exchange session. What had begun as professional cooperation and mutual fascination had quietly evolved into something much deeper, a profound connection that transcended species boundaries and defied all logical explanation. The breakthrough in their relationship came during a late-night session in the station's observation lounge. Alex was reviewing translation protocols for the next day's meetings when Aya appeared like a graceful shadow, having successfully escaped her constant diplomatic handlers for a rare moment of personal freedom. I hope I'm not disturbing your important work, she said softly, settling into the chair beside him with fluid grace. The brilliant starlight streaming through the massive viewport cast shifting patterns across her purple skin, creating an almost ethereal effect that made her appear to glow from within. Never a disturbance, Alex replied with complete honesty, setting aside his datapad to give her his full attention. How are you managing all the endless political discussions? It must be mentally exhausting being treated like a living symbol instead of a person with thoughts and feelings. Aya's laugh held that distinctive, musical quality that never failed to sound. Warmth spreading through Alex's chest. On Zarathos, I'm merely the youngest princess of the 5th house, more ceremonial than genuinely influential in imperial policy. These diplomatic talks represent the first time in my life that anyone has taken my personal opinion seriously or valued my individual perspective. That's completely their loss, Alex said with conviction, then caught himself. I apologize. I shouldn't comment critically on your government's internal structure. Please continue, she encouraged warmly, moving subtly closer to him. Your honest perspective is incredibly refreshing after weeks of careful diplomatic language. Everyone else addresses my formal title and political position. You actually see me as Aya the individual, not merely as a negotiating asset or ceremonial figurehead. Their secret conversations became a cherished nightly ritual, always conducted in careful secrecy, always mindful of the security patrols that Kai ran with increasing frequency throughout the station. Alex eagerly learned about Zarathian poetry, which existed as intricate patterns of pure light and complex harmonic sound rather than written words, while Aya discovered the emotional depths of human music, finding particular joy in classical earth compositions that reminded her of home's crystal forests. Could you play that magnificent piece again? She requested as Beethoven's Ninth Symphony filled the observation deck with soaring orchestral beauty, her eyes closed in obvious rapture. The way your composer builds, perfect harmony from initial discord and chaos. It's like watching the birth of a new star, system. As the powerful music swelled and crescendoed around them, Alex found himself studying her elegant profile in the shifting starlight, completely captivated by her natural beauty. Aya, may I ask you something deeply personal? Of course, anything. Are you truly happy? With your life as it's been arranged? I mean, with the predetermined path that's been chosen for your future? She remained quiet for such a long time that Alex began to worry he'd crossed an invisible line and violated some cultural taboo. Finally, she turned to face him completely, her amethyst eyes reflecting the distant stars. Before I traveled here to your system, I believed happiness meant contentment, peaceful acceptance of duty and tradition. But these past weeks, spending precious time with you, learning about human passion and individual choice, I've discovered something I never knew was missing from my existence. What have you discovered? Alex asked, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. The intoxicating freedom to choose my own path, to feel genuine emotions without political calculation, to want something purely because it brings me joy, not because it serves the greater imperial good. They were sitting so close now that Alex could observe the subtle constellation patterns in her purple skin, like star maps traced across her features by some cosmic artist. What do you want most, Aya? She reached for his hand with deliberate intention, their first real physical contact sending electric currents of connection through both of them. I want to remain here indefinitely. I want to learn everything about your world. Your fascinating people, your chaotic but beautiful culture. She hesitated, gathering courage, then continued with quiet determination. I want to explore what's growing between us. This connection that feels stronger than gravity, Alex's heart raced as he carefully intertwined their fingers, marveling at how perfectly their hands fit together despite their radically different evolutionary origins. The feeling is completely mutual. But Aya, we have to consider the enormous complications. I'm fully aware. She interrupted gently. Commander Rena has made it abundantly clear that personal relationships between our species fall far outside acceptable diplomatic parameters. My own cultural advisors believe humans are too primitive and emotionally unstable for meaningful long-term connection. And what if they're completely wrong? Alex asked, bringing her hand to his lips and pressing the softest possible kiss to her elegant fingers. The tender gesture, so simple yet profoundly intimate, caused Aya's skin to shift to an even deeper purple shade. Then we'll need to be extraordinarily careful and incredibly brave. Their first real kiss occurred 3 nights later. As they floated together in the station's zero-gravity recreational area, surrounded by gently drifting plants from the hydroponics bay, they came together in a moment that felt like the universe itself aligning in perfect harmony. The kiss began soft and tentative. An exploration between species then deepened as they discovered that despite their biological differences, the fundamental language of affection translated flawlessly. Aya's lips held warmth and a subtle sweetness that Alex had never experienced, while she marveled at the gentle roughness of his skin and the passionate intensity of human emotion. We absolutely shouldn't be doing this, she whispered against his lips, even as she pulled him closer in the weightless environment. Probably the most dangerous thing either of us has ever done. Alex agreed wholeheartedly. But I can't seem to care about what we should or shouldn't do anymore. There, forbidden romance flourished in carefully stolen moments, quiet conversations in empty storage corridors, shared meals in forgotten maintenance bays, gentle touches when they believed no surveillance systems were watching. Sarah began providing diplomatic cover for them, creating plausible official excuses for Aya's frequent absences from formal meetings. While Kai grew increasingly suspicious of the unusual activity patterns. You're playing with interstellar fire, Sarah warned Alex during a private conversation. Commander Rena is already asking pointed questions, and the Zarathian delegation is becoming visibly restless about Princess Aya's unauthorized activities. I understand all the risks, Alex replied with determination, But Sarah, what if this represents something much more significant than simple attraction? What if this connection could become the foundation for real understanding between our species? Love has inspired revolutions and changed the course of history before, and destroyed civilizations too, she reminded him gravely. Please be careful, Alex. Heartbreak is painful enough, but interstellar diplomatic incidents could have consequences that last for generations. But Alex had moved far beyond the realm of careful rationality. Beyond logical risk assessment, he was completely, irrevocably in love with an alien princess, and despite all the seemingly insurmountable obstacles lying ahead, he couldn't bring himself to regret a single stolen moment of their impossible romance. The choice. The crisis erupted without warning at dawn. Station Time Commander Rena stormed into Alex's private quarters like an avenging force of military authority, her face grim with official displeasure and barely controlled anger. Cooper, you're being immediately reassigned to the Isolated Linguistics Laboratory effective this moment. All contact with the Zarathian delegation is permanently terminated by direct order of Earth Command. On what specific grounds? Alex demanded, though his sinking heart already knew the devastating answer with terrible certainty. Conduct unbecoming of a diplomatic officer. Violation of first contact protocols and gross breach of interspecies relations guidelines, Rena replied with ice-cold precision. Did you honestly believe your romantic entanglement would remain undetected? Every section of this station maintains comprehensive surveillance. Cooper, every conversation, every intimate touch, every flagrant violation of established protocol has been meticulously recorded and analyzed. The crushing weight of discovery crashed over Alex like a collapsing star system. Where is Princess Aya? What have you done with her? Princess Aya is being prepared for immediate departure under armed escort. Her vessel launches in precisely 4 hours. The Zarathian High Council has determined that further diplomatic contact serves no constructive purpose if Earth cannot maintain basic professional boundaries. Alex pushed past Rena with desperate determination. Ignoring her shouted orders to return to his quarters immediately, he found Aya in her assigned diplomatic suite, surrounded by hastily packed travel cases and 4 stone-faced Zarathian guards, whose purple skin had shifted to the dark tones of official displeasure. Alex, she called out with relief and joy as he appeared in the doorway. They've refused to allow me any contact with you. They claim I've compromised the entire diplomatic mission through personal weakness. This isn't finished, he declared firmly, addressing both Aya and her intimidating guards. There has to be another solution, some alternative arrangement we haven't considered. The tallest guard, distinguished by elaborate silver markings that indicated high rank, spoke with dismissive authority that carried centuries of imperial tradition. Human emotional attachments are temporary chemical reactions that fade with time. Princess Aya has sacred duties that extend far beyond personal desires and romantic fantasies. My feelings are not temporary, Aya declared with surprising steel in her musical voice, her skin shifting to the deep purple of absolute defiance. I love Alex Cooper with my entire being, and I choose to remain here with him rather than return to a life of meaningless ceremony. The guard's expression hardened into something approaching shock. Princess, you speak of impossibilities. The High Council has issued direct orders. Your presence is required on Zarathos immediately. No, Aya said with quiet but unshakable conviction, rising to her full height with regal dignity. I am 5th Princess of the Royal House under ancient law. I formally claim my right to autonomous status. I choose willing exile over forced compliance. The revelation stunned everyone in the room into complete silence. Even Alex hadn't known that Zarathian royalty possessed such a dramatic legal option. Princess Aya, the guard said very carefully, his voice now carrying genuine concern rather than mere authority. Exile means permanently losing your royal rank, your family connections, your entire world and culture. You would sacrifice everything for this alien relationship. I would gain my freedom, Aya replied, moving to Alex's side and taking his hand with deliberate symbolism. I would finally become who I choose to be rather than what tradition demands, Commander. Rena intervened with harsh practicality. This is complete madness, Princess Aya. Consider carefully what you're proposing. Total isolation from your people, no governmental support, no homeland, you'd have nothing. I'll have Alex, Aya said with simple certainty, and he'll have me. That foundation is sufficient for building a new life, but Alex couldn't allow her to sacrifice everything without fully understanding the consequences. Aya, please wait. The guards are right about what exile means. I can't ask you to abandon your entire civilization for me. She placed both hands on his face with infinite tenderness, her warm purple skin soft against his cheeks. You're not asking me to do anything. I'm making this choice freely. For the first time in my existence, I'm choosing what my heart desires instead of what others expect. The following hours blurred together in a whirlwind of emergency legal consultations, frantic communications with both Earth Command and the Zarathian High Council, and increasingly desperate diplomatic negotiations. Both governments seemed absolutely determined to end what they viewed as an embarrassing interstellar incident that threatened their careful political arrangements. Finally, Sarah arrived with unexpected news that cut through the governmental deadlock. There might be a viable solution, she announced breathlessly. The neutral trade station Isabel in the asteroid belt has agreed to grant political sanctuary to both of you. It's not perfect, but it represents a genuine opportunity for a shared future. What's the price? Alex asked. Knowing that nothing this significant came without substantial cost, you'd both be surrendering citizenship in your respective governments permanently. Complete political exiles, together but forever cut off from your homeworlds and families. Alex looked directly at Aya, seeing his own unwavering resolve perfectly reflected in her luminous amethyst eyes. Together, he said with absolute finality, we can build something entirely new. Together, she agreed without hesitation. A bridge between our worlds, even if we're the only ones brave enough to stand on it. The departure preparations consumed another full day, filled with tearful farewells and official documentation that felt surreal in its historical implications. Dr. Chen embraced Alex goodbye with tears streaming down her weathered face. You're either the most courageous person I've ever known or the most foolish. Probably both, Alex admitted with a slight smile, but I've never been more certain of any decision in my entire life. As their transport vessel prepared to depart for the distant Isabel station, Commander Rena approached for one final conversation. I hope you fully comprehend what you're choosing, Cooper. Love is beautiful and inspiring, but survival in the void requires much more than romantic passion. Then we'll learn to become more than just lovers, Alex replied with quiet confidence. We'll be pioneers, explorers, the foundation for something the universe has never seen before. The launch bay doors opened slowly to reveal the infinite star field beyond. Somewhere among those countless points of light waited their uncertain but freely chosen future. Hand in hand, hearts perfectly aligned, they stepped together toward the unknown, ready to write the opening chapter of the first interspecies love story among the stars. New Horizons. 6 months later, the massive trade station Isabel had transformed from a temporary refuge into an unlikely but genuine home. The colossal rotating structure, originally constructed from repurposed asteroid mining equipment and salvaged spacecraft hulls, housed an eclectic community of refugees, independent traders, and voluntary outcasts from across the known galaxy. It was rough around the edges, chaotic in its daily operations, and completely different from the ordered civilizations of either Earth or Zarathos. But for Alex and Aya, it represented something infinitely precious, absolute freedom to choose their own destiny. The experimental hydroponics bay is showing remarkable results, Aya reported enthusiastically, her purple skin now bearing intricate silver tattoos that marked her voluntary exile but had become symbols of pride and independence. The hybrid plants using combined human and Zarathian cultivation techniques are producing nearly twice the expected nutritional yield. Alex looked up from his complex communication array. and sophisticated system he'd painstakingly built to maintain encrypted contact with sympathizers and friends on both their distant homeworlds. The agricultural innovations are impressive, but we're attracting attention from unexpected quarters. Dr. Chen managed to send another coded message through secure channels. Apparently, our integrated research methods are being studied by xenobotanists throughout the Sol system. Their enforced exile had compelled them to evolve beyond their original roles as lovers. They'd become true partners in every conceivable sense. Alex's exceptional linguistic abilities, combined with Aya's advanced scientific knowledge, had created opportunities neither had dared anticipate. Together, they'd established the first genuinely integrated human-alien research facility in recorded history. "There's more encouraging news," Alex continued, pulling up a heavily encrypted transmission on his primary screen. Sarah managed to get a detailed message through the diplomatic channels. 3 more interspecies couples have formally requested sanctuary here, 1 human-centauri pairing, and 2 relationships involving species we haven't even encountered yet. Aya moved to look over his shoulder, a gesture that had become as natural as breathing during their months of shared exile. "We're not alone in the universe anymore," she said with genuine wonder in her musical voice. "We were never truly alone," Alex replied, turning to press a tender kiss to her cheek. "But now others are finding the courage to follow their hearts across the void." Their relationship had deepened far beyond the initial passionate romance. They'd learned each other's languages with complete fluency. Alex now dreamed in flowing Zorathian harmonics while Aya had begun composing original poetry in precise English. Their physical intimacy had evolved naturally through months of discovery, tender moments of exploration as they learned how their different biologies could create perfect emotional and physical harmony. "The wedding ceremony preparations are nearly complete," Aya announced, changing the subject to the historic event they'd been planning for weeks. "Kai managed to secure official leave from Sol Station, and 3 of my closest Zorathian friends are traveling here in absolute secrecy to witness our union." They'd made the momentous decision to formalize their unprecedented relationship in a ceremony that would blend cherished traditions from both their worlds. It would represent the first legally recognized interspecies marriage in galactic history, officiated by Captain Torres of the Isabel, who'd become something of a surrogate parent during their challenging transition to exile life. The wedding day arrived with all the artificial fanfare possible, aboard a space station, if Dawn could be said to exist in the carefully controlled environment of rotating artificial gravity. The ceremony took place in the observation deck they'd lovingly converted into an impromptu chapel, with distant Earth visible as a pale blue dot in one direction and the distinctive red spark of Mars. Glowing in another, Alex wore a simple formal suit modified with elegant Zorathian ceremonial elements woven into the fabric, while Aya appeared breathtaking in flowing robes that shifted color from deep purple to shimmering silver as she moved with natural grace. Her wedding crown, carefully grown from rare crystal formations she'd cultivated herself in their shared laboratory, caught the distant starlight like captured fragments of dreams. "Friends, fellow outcasts, brave pioneers of the heart," Captain Torres began, her weathered voice carrying the hard-earned authority of someone who'd officiated countless unions across the galaxy's frontier regions. "We gather in this moment not merely to witness a marriage, but to celebrate the construction of the first genuine bridge between distant worlds, built not by governments or political treaties, but by 2 extraordinary hearts brave enough to love across the infinite void." The personal vows they'd written together combined the most beautiful elements from both their distinct cultures. Alex spoke with deep emotion of choosing Aya in every moment, with every breath, across every star they'd seen together in their journey. Aya's melodic response came in pure Zorathian harmonics that made the station's metal walls ring like cathedral bells, promising to be his eternal companion through whatever unknown worlds they'd explore together. "By the authority invested in me by the Independent Colonies Agreement and the sacred laws of free space," Captain Torres declared with ceremonial gravity, "I now pronounce you married in the eyes of the universe, partners in all endeavors, citizens of the stars themselves. Their kiss was witnessed by representatives from 6 different species, all of them fellow refugees or voluntary exiles who'd discovered unexpected community aboard the Isabel. As they embraced in the artificial gravity, Alex felt a profound sense of completion, not merely as a man who'd found his perfect soulmate, but as a pioneer who'd helped expand the very definition of what love could accomplish. The celebration that followed lasted 3 full days, featuring music that brilliantly blended human instruments with Zorathian light harmonics, exotic food representing a dozen different worlds, and dancing that required careful coordination between the varying gravitational preferences of different species. "So what comes next for you two?" Sarah asked during a quiet moment between festivities. Her diplomatic immunity having allowed her to attend this historic occasion. "You've achieved the marriage, established the research facility, and apparently there's a growing waiting list of couples wanting to follow your pioneering example." Alex and Aya exchanged meaningful glances. "We've been discussing exactly that question," Aya said thoughtfully. "There's serious talk of establishing a formal colony, a permanent settlement where interspecies families can thrive openly without fear or shame. The New Horizon Project," Alex added with obvious excitement, "named after this incredible feeling we experience every morning when we wake up together, like every single day represents the beginning of something unprecedented in galactic history." "Where would you establish this colony?" Sarah asked with genuine diplomatic curiosity. "There's a potentially suitable planet in the distant Kepler system," Aya explained, her scientific mind already working through the logistics, environmentally compatible with multiple known species, completely unclaimed by any major government. "We could build something entirely new there, a true haven for love that crosses every boundary." As the joyous celebration continued around them, Alex found himself standing once again at the observation deck, where he and Aya had shared their first tentative kiss. Now they watched the eternal stars together as equals, as partners, as the founding members of a completely new kind of civilization built on acceptance rather than fear. "Do you ever feel regret?" he asked softly. "About everything you sacrificed to be here with me?" Aya leaned against him, her warm purple skin comfortable against his shoulder. "I abandoned a life that others had chosen for me," she replied with quiet conviction. "In return, I discovered a life I chose for myself, with you, with this growing community, with the unlimited future we're building together one day at a time." "I love you beyond words," Alex said, the phrase that had become both daily greeting and sacred prayer. "I love you too," she replied in harmonious Zorathian that translated to something far deeper and more complex than any human language could adequately express above them. The stars shone with infinite possibility and promise. Each brilliant point of light represented worlds they might explore, species they might encounter, love stories they might inspire and nurture. They were no longer exiles fleeing from their past. They were pioneers, pathfinders for a future where love acknowledged no boundaries or limitations. In the distance, another small ship approached the welcoming lights of the Isabel, carrying yet another interspecies couple seeking sanctuary and acceptance. Alex and Aya smiled with deep satisfaction, knowing their greatest work was just beginning. Together, they would help the universe become a little more connected, a little more accepting, one extraordinary love story at a time.